Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Cormorant Productions, here to talk about This Is Us, Season 6, Episode 18, titled Us. The series finale of the series. This is an important milestone for Cormorant Productions because this is my first series finale ever covered on this channel. The episode's description reads as follows. The Big Three comes to a new understanding about life. The episode was directed by Ken Owen and written by Dan Fogelman. Before going any further, I will tell you a couple of things. One, this is not a spoiler-free video, so if you haven't yet watched the episode, I highly recommend that you go check it out, and then come back and watch my video. Secondly, if you like this video and want to support the channel, please like, share, and comment, as well as subscribing to my channel. One more thing before getting into the episode itself. Since the series is ending, I figured now would be a good time to talk about the future of Cormorant Productions, as I currently see it. Although this is the last episode of the series, this will not be my final video on the series. I'm going to do a video looking back at the 6th season as a whole, and I will continue to do rewatch videos at least up until the end of Season 2. After that, it depends on if anybody's still watching those videos. If there are any spin-offs, which currently the creators are saying there will be no spin-offs, I will likely cover that series as well. Chris Sullivan and Justin Hartley both have projects lined up post-series. Chris Sullivan has some kind of comedy show. Whether I cover these projects in video form remains to be seen. In the meantime, I will also be doing Quantum Leap rewatch videos. I'll be getting back to that. And when the Revival series airs, which is coming, I will also talk about that series. Cormorant Productions will continue to be plenty busy. Which brings us to the episode at hand, the series finale. My suspicions that I had after last week's episode were confirmed, that this finale would serve more like an extended epilogue, with the true finale being last week, with the death of Rebecca. There were plenty of fans who were disappointed with the finale. They were expecting one last final twist, which was not really provided by the episode at hand. But come on, guys, this is not Breaking Bad. No one was going to come up behind Kevin to shoot him in the head, though I'm certain there are some fans that would like to see that. I'm not one of them because I like Kevin, though at various points I've wanted to slap the guy, but not during the course of this episode. Maybe when he was a kid, of course, but not as in his current adult form. Speaking of Breaking Bad, did anybody see the Better Call Saul mid-season finale? Is there any crossover between this series and that one, watching these videos? Probably not, but holy crap, what an ending. I was tempted to do a video about that, despite never once having covered that series at all. But yeah, we're talking about the This Is Us series finale, so we should probably get back on point. Initially, I felt, as some did, that this episode was too Randall-focused, without giving much attention to the older Kate and Kevin. But after thinking about it, it bothers me less. Randall, as a character, really didn't have an arc this season, whereas both Kate and Kevin had significant stories play out throughout the season. Regardless of how you felt about those stories and how they played out, and I had plenty of criticisms of both of those, they still had plenty of time given to their characters throughout the season, whereas Randall took more of a back seat, which makes sense because last season, Season 5 specifically, I kind of feel like they played Randall's story out. There just wasn't much more to explore there. Finding his mother was more or less the conclusion of his story, other than his political career, which has never really interested me. My overall feelings about the finale? It had its moments. My expectations for this one weren't high. Last week was the true finale, whereas this one was just an extended epilogue. There were some pretty great moments throughout the episode, of course. We start in the past timeline, with Jack and Rebecca laying in bed, with Jack noticing a scar that he's never noticed before. Rebecca ends up telling a story about how she accidentally got it from her father when she was on the swing set. It is revealed that Randall had a mathlete tournament that supposedly got canceled, meaning we have a lazy Saturday with nothing going on with the Pearson clan. We then have a little montage of parents pushing their kids on swings. Rebecca and Jack with their kids, Randall and Beth with theirs, Kevin with the twins, Toby and Kate with Johnny Kincaid. He made a cameo here that I was happy to see. I'll be following this guy's career, no doubt, which will be a future that will be a spectacular career. There will be books written about this boy. And it all started here. We also see Baby Jack as his adult self, probably for the final time. And credits for the last time. When we come back, we are in the future, after Rebecca's death. We see Kevin wake up next to Sophie. He looks at himself in the mirror and takes a look at his beard and rubs it with his hand, maybe having a memory that we will see later. Or maybe he is uncertain that his beard looks good on him. You know what, Kevin? I am also uncertain of that. We have a brief shot of Kate before going into the past timeline. When we are in the past time, we see Patrick Bakes, Lonnie Chavez, and Mackenzie Hanzisak as the formerly preteen version of the characters. We haven't seen them all season long, and these are clearly the scenes that the creators have said that they shot years ago. The last we've seen of these actors, they looked like they were about to graduate from college. I saw a recent picture of Mackenzie Hanzisak, and holy crap, she has definitely grown up. It was good to see them in the final episode of the series. Randall's Mathlete competition has been canceled, or so he claims, so they have no plans for today. Kate says that she has suggestions for what they can do. Neither Randall nor Kevin seem thrilled, but as it turns out, they both have separate issues. Future, present day timeline. Good God, I am looking forward to discussing a more linear series after this. Beth and Randall, hours before the funeral. He's still trying to write the eulogy. Beth is concerned. Randall claims he's good, but Beth, jokingly, I think, suggests that they need to do a worst case scenario, as we saw earlier this season. Randall doesn't seem to be too interested in playing, but he's amused. Beth suggests that he will spend the rest of his days attending other people's parents' funerals, or buying an RV to travel to his parents' favorite sites, or going even one step further than that, and going to Puerto Rico to discover Miguel's heritage. No sign of John Hurtis in the finale as Miguel. He had his farewell a few episodes ago. At the very least, he was mentioned here. Randall tells Beth that he's appropriately sad and appropriately anxious about the eulogy. Beth asks him if he made a decision about deep-fried Oreos, but doesn't elaborate on this. Randall isn't sure. If you're asking me, I say yes to deep-fried Oreos. In the pastime line, Kate has decided she wants to play Foursquare, referenced in last week's episode. Both Randall and Kevin continue to be buttheads. Not exactly a big departure for the young version of Kevin. We see Kate, in the future, watching the kids play the same game, smiling wistfully. Toby joins her and asks permission to overstep ex-husband protocols to say a couple of things. Kate grants him permission. He goes on to say that Rebecca would have been proud of her, that he is proud of her, and that he loves her. Despite the fact that their marriage didn't work out, he always will. Nice little final scene between the two of them. By the way, Philip, played by Chris Greer, is nowhere in this episode. I don't miss him. We are at the finale, guys, and you never made me care about him. A job not well done there. In the past timeline, Kate is outside in the porch, watching the rain. Jack joins her, asking if she's going to come watch home videos. It's here that we have the theme of the episode, that of trying to slow down the passage of time, which is especially relevant once you start having kids. Kate is ahead of her time here, getting what Jack gets, but that the boys have yet to do. He also wants to slow down the passage of time. They go inside to watch home videos, where we see the actors that we've seen as the younger Big Three at younger ages, making me think that they shot the home video a couple of years ago as well. Fun note, most of Mandy Moore's and Milo Ventimilla's work here was shot years ago, and they didn't even remember the scenes in question, which they have stated in interviews. Kevin and Randall both nope out of the scene moodily. Rebecca goes after Kevin. He reveals that in gym class, he was able to do a lot of things well, but couldn't do a pull-up. Yeah, neither could I back then, Kevin. I was actually able to do them eventually, but Kevin was getting laughed at by everyone. Rebecca thinks he's exaggerating. He admits he might be. He had Sophia tell everyone that he was just trying to make the unathletic kids feel better about themselves. Ah, young Kevin. already learning how to handle his PR. Rebecca tells him that not everything is going to come easy. He's going to have to work pretty hard to become the person he's capable of. She knows that he will get there. While Rebecca talks, we see Kevin in the future, as he's remembering this time. Rebecca in the past says that Dr. Jappy said that he would grow up to be a jock, possibly. And Kevin seems excited by this notion. Younger Kevin is comforted by these words, telling her that she always knows what to say to make him feel better. Kevin gives her permission to give a kiss. Rebecca takes more than what Kevin offered. Older Kevin is joined by Uncle Nicky, who tells him that before he met Kevin, he had it pretty good. He cared about absolutely nothing, and now here he is, being all sad that somebody died, which would not have been the case if Kevin did not find him in that trailer. He didn't have to worry about being sad when people died. He tells him that his parents would be ashamed of him for what he did to such a sweet old man, and departs by calling him a dick. Uncle Nicky says this all in jest. It's his Nicky-ish way of saying thank you, and I chuckled at this scene. This was a great scene. Justin Hartley doesn't say a single word during the scene. It's entirely nonverbal acting from him, and he does a great job. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Griffin Dunne as Uncle Nicky has low-key been the MVP of this season, slightly edging out the great, the fantastic Johnny Kincaid. That'll probably be the last Johnny Kincaid reference that I will make for any time soon. I promise. Maybe. Great final scene between these. In the past timeline, Jack finds Randall, who lied about the math week competition being canceled. It's still on. But he has been canceled many years before it was a thing. He pulled out a chair of a kid who was bothering him at school and was suspended from the competition. Jack seems amused and is resisting making jokes at Randall's insistence. He does not entirely succeed. He eventually admits that he doesn't know how to discipline a kid that is already harder on himself than he ever could be. But he offers to show Randall how to shave. Apparently the hair on his lip is the reason for his abuse. Randall gets excited. We see a montage of the funeral, for which we hear none of what is being said. I am not totally sure that that was the right call. I don't know that I agree with that approach to the funeral. Mandy Moore, by the way, has said in interviews that she was in attendance for Rebecca's funeral. She felt like saying goodbye to her character. In the past timeline, Jack is showing Randall how to shave. Kevin comes in and excitedly also wants to shave. The boys are both in a hurry to grow up, while Kate wants to stay a kid. They both don't get that, but Jack does. He says as much. You don't realize when you're in the moment that you're having a moment, that when you grow up, you'll be looking back, wishing you could live inside. The boys think he's being weird, but I am in Jack's shoes, aware of the passage of time, waxing nostalgically for times past. In the future, Randall is on the porch of the cabin. His girls soon join him. He ponders how he was terrified for a good chunk of his life, worrying about losing his mother. But now that it happened, it seems like nothing. He's thinking about work, and it all seems pointless. Tess and Annie decide to leave Deja and him alone. I'm not entirely sure why. We cut to another timeline, this one occurring during the episode Memphis, William's swan song episode. He says goodbye to a much younger Tess. We saw that, but then we have an extended scene that we didn't see between William, played by Ron Cephas-Jones, making an appearance here in the final episode. No Dr. K, but I was only hoping for 1 out of 2. Dr. K got a fitting goodbye in the previous episode. I still waited all episode long to reveal that Dr. K was in fact alive in his new cyborg body to attend Rebecca's funeral, just as he had attended Jack's. Alas, that did not happen. Anyway, William muses about the weird relationship of grandfather to his grandkids. Good scene, perhaps a little too long. This apparently was also shot a few years ago. Deja reveals that the baby, in the future, will be a boy, and that they are going to name him William. William is a man Deja never met, but she knows him because of Randall. It does matter. It's not pointless. Sterling Kane Brown produces probably the best moment of the episode as he reacts with joy to finally having a boy in his family. Kevin and Randall in the past comes downstairs bragging about their newly shaven faces. Kate now wants to play Pin the Tail on the Donkey, a game that my longtime friend Stacy wanted to be a part of the previous episode and was disappointed when she didn't see it. Hopefully, this will satisfy her. The kids set it up. Rebecca tells Jack that as a parent, he turned into a 10. This is a callback to the second episode of the series, which painted Jack as a drunk who was ignoring his family. And despite this, the audience would still see Jack as a perfect man that the creators never really intended for him to be. At the time, she told him that she was tired of him lowering their parenting scores. Jack has a flashback to when he initially discovered the Pin the Tail on the Donkey store. This is when the kids were babies. And Jack muses, as he buys it, that they probably never will play it, and that goes on to not be true. Kate puts on the blindfold and manages to get the tail right on the donkey the first try. When asked her secret, she reveals that she knows where her brothers are, and because they never shut up, which is so true, she uses them to orient herself. Clever girl. In the future present day, whatever, the other 2/3 of the big three join Randall on the porch, who's smiling, a fact that Kevin ends up pointing out. Randall simply says that he got some very good news on a very sad day, and very curiously, they don't ask him exactly what that news is. Kevin remarks that they don't have parents anymore. Kate rebukes him, saying they do too still have parents, despite their unalive status. Kevin asks, what do they do now? Beth's early fried Oreos reference is apparently a test with the people for a possible run for president. Kevin is going to keep up with his nonprofit. Not sure if Kevin is still acting or not, and I'm never going to know because the episode does not reveal that. They talk about potentially drifting. This is Kate's concern. And Kevin assures Kate that if they do so, Randall and him will find her. And then they engage in the typical Big Three banter, which was always a joy to watch. And they do the Big Three chant. Randall muses, wondering, at the end, when Rebecca grabbed his hand, squeezing it tighter just before she died, what that was all about. We cut back to the train episode, where Jack and Rebecca talk for a good long time. I kind of think that this scene was unnecessary. We could have left it with hey, like we did in the last episode, and that would have been good enough. But instead here, we get to see the conversation between Jack and Rebecca. Jack promises Rebecca that she will indeed be there for the big moment, and not the Big Three in the shower, which I'm sure the Big Three will be grateful for. And Jack assures her that things will be okay, that she will be there for those moments. The grass Randall felt was Rebecca squeezing Jack's hand. We see the family in the future, present day, again, whatever, all together. Uncle Nicky being spun around, playing Pin the Tail on the donkey. The family laughing together. Randall looks at Deja, and they exchange a smile. In the past, Randall and Jack also exchange looks and smiles. And the last shot is Jack in profile. And the last shot is Jack in profile. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is not only the episode, but the series. I would like to thank the cast and crew who made a fantastic series that gave me plenty of material to talk about over the last couple of years. I didn't love everything that they did. There were plenty of things that I wished they hadn't. There were plenty of opportunities that I felt like were missed. But on the whole, the series was more hit than it was miss. This was a talented group of actors and crew, and I look forward to seeing what they do in the future. Thanks for all the memories, guys. That's all I have for this video. If you like this video and want to support the channel, you can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can join one of my 2 Facebook group pages, the Corman Productions one, as well as the This Is Us discussion page. You can buy something from the Corman Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a coffee, which is a new way to support content creators such as myself. And of course, you can like, share, and comment, as well as subscribing to my channel. This is Dave from Corman Productions, signing off.